the Dark Ages didn't exist. The Virgin Queen was a man. Shakespear Ghostwriters. And was Jack the Ripper actually a prince? Well, put on your finest tinfoil hat and let's get straight on into it.
Morbid history.
We start with a very weird and fun one, the phantom time theory. And it just states that the Dark Ages or the Middle Ages did not exist. Well, if you ask one Heribert Illing, a good name, he thought no. He studied and studied and studied, and in 1991 he came up with this hypothesis, and it just stated that 297 years of our recorded history was just nonsense. And the years in question? 614 AD, of course, to 911 AD. So that would actually put us today somewhere in the 1700s, I think 1727. I approve. I'd love to be a 1700s fancy lady, which I probably would not be. I would be a peasant. But a girl can dream. So, the story that our dear Herbert came up with was that the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III and also Pope Sylvester II, yes, and maybe there he's not quite sure there, even the Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII. These three people decided to just speed history along, and the reason they wanted to do that was to place themselves historically in the year 1000, because that's cool. Yeah, you know, history would love you if you were one of those people in that very important year, I'm guessing. So these were very, very important and powerful people. They could easily, says Herbert, just force everyone into believing whatever they said. They would falsify records, they would write some Viking fanfiction, Charlemagne fanfiction, and lots of things that would strengthen their own claim to their power positions, of course, because why wouldn't you do that if you changed history? Either way, so why did Herbert come to this conclusion? Well, he decided after researching a lot that but he decided that there's so little archaeological, that's a word, archaeological, oh my god, my Sweden, arkeologisk.
Hello darkness, my old friend.
Archaeological evidence. There wasn't a lot of archaeological evidence during these 300 years. To be precise, 614 to 911. And that is true. There wasn't a lot of it, but still there was. Like, you can't just throw all the evidence that's actually there down into the dumps and pretend that it does not exist. Like, also, you have to completely reject history from the rest of the world. Yeah, so at the end of it, it doesn't make much sense, of course. 300 years of history, world history, can't just throw it away just like that because you wanted to. Well, yep. That's kinda it for that one in a rambly short. You dive into that rabbit hole if you like, I promise it won't hurt. Next one was the Virgin Queen, a man. Queen Elizabeth I, daughter to the very wife demiser, Henry mentally Tudor, unstable, and the very unlucky Anne Boleyn, who lost her upper part. Not a very great start to life, of course. Many people have sought to explain why she never married or why she never had any babies. I mean, she lived a very long life and all that. And one popular theory was actually popularized by none other than Bram Stoker, who wrote Dracula. He released a book that was called Frauds from History, and in that, tinfoil historians can go bananas sometimes. The story goes that when Elizabeth was around 10 years old, she was sent to a small farming town called Bisley to escape the plague. With her, she had a governess named Lady Cat Ashley. Things apparently didn't go very well, though, and Elizabeth tragically succumbed to some illness. And that was when King Henry was actually already on his way to come and visit her. The governess, the Lady Ashley, went into survivor mode. She did not want to anger this already temperamentful Henry. So she did what anyone would do. She went into this small village trying to find a girl that looked like Elizabeth so she could pass her off as Elizabeth. Because obviously, I don't know, Henry hadn't looked close enough on his daughter. Well, this panic in this very weird hatched plan, well, it didn't go as she thought. She couldn't find a girl that looked like Elizabeth. Instead, she found a little boy called Neville that looked close enough. They took him into their little lodging and dressed him up in Elizabeth's clothing and wig and whatever, and managed to pass him off as Elizabeth. And once this was done, they couldn't turn back, and the boy had to grow up as Elizabeth. Princess Elizabeth, and then Queen Elizabeth. As a little side note here before we move on, it's said that this would also explain her extreme use of heavy makeup and large poofy dresses to hide her masculinity. If that was what happened. It's a rabbit hole for you. Jump into it, it won't hurt. Next one! Psst. Like, comment, subscribe. It really helps with the algorithm. And also, I have a members thingamajig. You can become a member of the channel, and I post exclusive folklore, mythology, and whatever, some Victorian crime there, only for my members. So yeah, go check that out if you want to support the channel and you want to see some more weird rambles. Thank you so much. It really helps. Let's continue. The Shakespear Ghostwriters. There's this group that call themselves the Anti-Stratfordians. there's actually a lot of very famous people who have joined this group. Freud, Orson Welles, Helen Keller, and Charlie Chaplin, among others. And what do they believe? They believe that dear old William Shakespeare did not write his books, stories, plays. Let's get into it. The core of this theory is, of course, that William Shakespeare grew up very poor from very humble beginnings, and thus he should not have been able to write these extremely intricate and good stories, I guess. It was too much for the man. They think that he just lacked the proper education, the proper knowledge that one would have, like in language, in history, in just royal etiquette, Jacobean etiquette, and everything else that he must have known about, because there's lots of it in his stories. They believe that only someone well-versed and well-educated in these aristocratic themes could produce such works, or some extensive schooling, which William Shakespeare did not have. No. I guess someone just couldn't be a genius. He went to some kind of school at least, and he must have learned stuff there, but no, it just wasn't enough. Instead, they propose that a bunch of dukes and earls and sirs, and even maybe some fancy ladies, were using Shakespeare as a shield to produce their own writings. Yeah, because they didn't want to show their real names or have the art come haunting them, because they had some status and reputation to uphold. And this kind of literature and plays just did not fit well into the nobles rocking around London at the time. Very scandalous stories. Either way, of course, most real literature studiers, literature professors or whatever, just no, they are sure that William Shakespeare was the one who wrote all these thingamajigs. But that doesn't stop our tinfoil historians. Good for them. We all need something to believe in. Last one. And now a short and sweet one before we end it. Was Jack the Ripper actually a prince? Namely, Prince Albert. A fun little conspiracy theory involving, well, of course, our favorite serial live subscription cancellers, Jack the Ripper. The theory goes that Prince Albert, a mentally unstable young man who may have gotten a bit of syphilis during a trip to the West Indies, not really helping with that unstableness, really. And from there, he went mad and bad, roaming around Whitechapel, demising poor ladies there in the dark streets of London, because he was angry from getting the syphilis. Well, that's kinda actually it. It said that that's the reason why Jack did not get caught, because the royal family, of course, would be trying to help him, protect him, and he was promptly sent to an asylum or like a mental institute, something fancy for the royal people to keep an eye on him. And there he stayed until his own demise. Sadly, this theory actually falls flat pretty quickly, because there's plenty of evidence and records that Prince Albert was nowhere near Whitechapel or where these grisly attacks happened. But it's a fun theory nonetheless. So yeah, those were the short rambles for today. Just jump into any of those rabbit holes if you want. There's plenty of things to read about on each of them. If you want to know more historical conspiracy theories, just let me know down below if you have any ideas and I'll check into them. Either way, thanks so much for watching, and also a giant thanks to my Patreon members and my YouTube members. And I hope you enjoy the exclusive content that I post there only for you. And thank you so much for the support. You're my heroes. Thank you. So yeah, stay amazing, stay hydrated, and most of all, stay morbid. Mwah. See you soon!